Roy. He's also a member of the task force. Mr. James from RIS and distinguished delegates. I'm so grateful to Parvi for having invited me. And I think this is the right time to discuss on issues like indicators and VNR. And when we say indicators, and it has been very rightly said towards the end that not merely pieces of statistics, much more deeper than that. If I run a correlation between, say, number of sheep in Rajasthan and average temperature of, say, Sydney, I find some positive correlation. Which will be statistically significant also, but not much relevant on a priori basis. Now, why we need an indicator? We need an indicator as a proxy to measure something else, which is something much broader, much higher on the policy platform. I'll start with, say, education. Now, one way when we run any regression on families or households, we go for the level of education of a male member or female member, or we go by approximate literacy, highest level of education within the family. My wife was doing her PhD and she was running a regression taking on joint forest management, taking a variable as level of education, number of years of schooling of a lady of the house, and also number of years of schooling of the gentleman in the household. And I told her that she'll encounter a problem of multicollinearity. You cannot have both in the same regression. You have to drop. You analyze on merits, and she found that female education was much more robust and had a higher significance. And we also say that you teach a girl and you teach a family. That proved so right in that context also. So which indicators to include and which not to include becomes very important sometimes. Of course, you need to have data and series on both. You may require something for different purposes. Then there's a place in the USA called Twinsburg, and there's a Twinsburg festival. In that festival, only twins can come and participate, and they are supposed to be attired identically. They have to be zygotic twins, fertilized from the same egg. Totally, they are absolutely identical in all respects, genetically. So in the earlier days, 1940s or so, there were a lot of experiments on medical side. If one is falling sick, living in, say, London, brother has gone to Australia and will he fall sick at the same time or not? Like that. And then they realized, the economists realized a lot of potential in such experiments. So there was an experiment run. I come back to education. Does education lead to higher incomes? There are papers by Aschenfelter and others. And his hypothesis is that education, when we talk of education, we straight away go how many number of years of schooling. But just analyze what is behind the education. So he said there are three factors. One is genetic factor. Second is family environment. And third is, say, number of years of schooling. And then he added that if I take zygotic twins, they are identical on genetic platform. I come to family environment. It's more or less same, and the beauty of the mother is that mother takes more care of the boy or girl who is lagging behind. So she tries to equalize. So the family environment helps the one who is laggard in one sense or another. So more or less same environment. So having accounted for the two factors, what is crystallized is the impact of number of years of schooling on incomes. And how do you find number of years of schooling of somebody? So if A1 and A2 are zygotic twins, you ask A1, what is your level of education? And your twin's level of education. Then you ask A2 the same two questions. And then you average out for A1's self-reported and twin-reported years of schooling, and like that. And then the results are that yes, it does matter to be educated. Ceteris paribus. There will be exceptions. Somebody is only not much educated, But I'm just taking you down that when you drill down on an indicator. Now I come to say global possible indicators and SDG indicators. I was mesmerized by one indicator, maternal mortality ratio, MMR. It's very much a tier 1 indicator. It had place in MDGs also, so we have data. MOSPI publishes annual reports, annual country reports, and we expect that we are somewhere below 140 per lakh live births. We were targeted to reach down to 109. Why 109? Because MDG set to reduce MMR to 1/4, and the base level was 1990. So in 1990, India was at 437 to come down to 109 by year 2015. We are going to miss it. But now the question comes that when we come to SDG era, the target is, if you read 3.1, the target itself talks of the indicator. That's the beauty of this indicator, why I picked it up for analysis. 3.1 says 70 or less. So everybody I discussed were talking that we will be able to reach 70. I said, no, stop. The target is to reach 70 or less. So to first define for India, where do we stand? Where do we want to reach? Do we want to reach 70 or we want to reach below 70? And then I added that if you take internationally why this target of 70 has been given, the global figure was 216. This is almost 1/3 of the global figure. In the MDG era, we had 25 years to reduce it to 1/4. In SDG era, we have 15 years to reduce to 1/3. And then I further analyzed that yes, we need to come down to say around 50. I computed a number also. While doing this analysis, I encountered another problem. Because I'm just talking of indicators, when you start going deeper, how many problems you can encounter. So I realized that how do we define MMR of the country? It is composite of the MMR of each state and each union territory. So if in year 2030, each chief secretary comes to a meeting and says, I have come down to 1/3, and everyone has come down exactly to 1/3, I can assure you that India will not reach 1/3 mathematically. The reason being, the population weightages of many states, bigger states, are going to be higher in 2030 than they are now. And so I found literature on populations, of statewide populations up to 2101. Further computed, it needs 3% further reduction. So something around 45 you have to reach if you have to follow this trend. So that shows that when we are looking at one indicator, even one indicator, how difficult the task becomes. It has been very rightly said that yes, we are submitting our VNR, we need to form up indicators. So I request that whatever information is available, kindly share it before 7th April with MOSPI. I don't know, because yesterday they came in the meeting and we could find that their hands are very tight. And in fact, many countries have already evolved and finalized. The best part is that they have shared it, they have given 1 full month, and that gives some room for good responses, etc. Now I come to VNR. We are trying. My premise when I contribute, and Ratin will endorse it, my premise is that we are not going to stand in a dock that yes, we have come, kindly examine us in the witness box. My feeling is that there are many things which after 5 years, when you meet any other developing country or middle income country, they will say, oh, you were doing these things in 2017, you never told us, we never read. So say PM Jan Dhan Yojana. Or I'll give one more example, LPG gas connections. There was a lot of talk that LPG gas connections, give it up, has come to reduce the subsidy on petroleum products. But government made an announcement, you give it up and we'll give it to a female who is BPL and in rural areas. 1.5 crore connections have been surrendered. 5 crore are being given, out of which more than 2 crore have already been given by last week. So that shows that what the government said was very credible. And when you look into this, say, LPG gas connection, the interconnectedness among all goals is so much that it saves female from collection of fuel good, the drudgery is saved. Then on health aspect, tuberculosis aspect, which will have tremendous positive impacts. Of course, we should not fall to the line that each SDG is giving a positive externality, or each action is giving a positive externality to each other target or indicator. There are indicators like, say, in Bangladesh, they had gone for a lot of irrigation projects, which led to a lot of malaria-related cases also. So we have to be very, very clear what we are moving and in which direction and how much and how we are measuring it. So I think that sets the tone for some discussions, and I will benefit from listening to the other delegates. Thank you very much.